The Daily Beast has just a blockbuster article out, which, if it's accurate, confirms what would be really the first publicly known connection between Trump staffers and associates, and not just Russians, but Russian intelligence operatives, known colloquially sometimes as Russian spies. And we're talking here about Rick Gates. Rick Gates is the business partner of former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, both of whom have been indicted by special prosecutor Robert Mueller. And what the Daily Beast has learned and is reporting is that the prosecutors working for Robert Mueller have now been able to directly link Gates to a person tied to Russian intelligence. Obvious question we should all have when the Daily Beast reports this: how do we learn? How did they learn this? And the way that they learned this is because of court filings that were released a couple of days ago, which say that Gates and an unnamed person who worked for one of Paul Manafort's companies were in touch in the months leading up to the November of 2016 election. I think they specifically know even September and October, August, September, October, somewhere in that range. And they've described the connections between Gates and this individual linked to Russian intelligence as, quote, pertinent to the investigation, meaning Robert Mueller's investigation into Trump-Russia coordination, collusion, and possible criminality. The court filing, the same court filing that's the basis of this Daily Beast report, also says, and this is the key part, right, that Gates knew that this individual was connected to Russian intelligence. And if true, absolutely huge, because this is crossing the line into knowing and deliberate contact specifically for the purposes of the Donald Trump campaign with individuals in the Russian government. In this case, it's even more specific in the sense that it's Russian intelligence operatives. Now, there are people who will hear me say this, and I'll get calls from them, emails, live calls, who knows. Maybe tomorrow we'll hear from some of them who will say, David, there is simply no evidence that a crime took place, no matter what coordination there was, no matter what, quote, collusion there was. But that now is also a narrative that we have to refute, because the list of possible crimes here continues to get longer and longer the more we learn about what took place. So accepting assistance and things of value, be they money or information, as we've talked about, from foreign entities for a federal election in the United States is a crime, right? That's one possible crime that is on the list here. Covering up those incidents of receiving things of value, also a crime. Obstructing investigations into those incidents regarding the receipt of things of value from foreign entities for elections is also a crime. Lying to investigators about those incidents is a crime. And when multiple people work together to either cover up or obstruct or mislead, that can also be the crime of conspiracy. And the talking point from the Russia denialists, and there's some on the right and there's some on the left, as you probably well know at this point, is, David, collusion's not a crime. Collusion simply is not something that is a crime in the criminal code. That's sort of like saying killing people with guns isn't a crime. I can find no crime called or described as killing people with guns. Well, just because it's not in the criminal code that way doesn't mean it isn't this thing called murder, right? And that starts to become really a semantic disagreement. Colluding where the foreign entity provides things of material value is a crime. It wouldn't be called collusion, but we're speaking colloquially here about the various crimes that might be included under that umbrella. Now, also stunning is that this story barely registered yesterday in the midst of news about Trump bragging about what's going on with North Korea, Stormy Daniels, Trump missing from the public eye with absolutely nothing scheduled up until today for long periods of time, Facebook story. And even if this story did get more coverage, the committed Trumpists aren't going to care, right? They'll talk about what's going on with Donald Trump and unemployment or whatever, the same unemployment numbers that they didn't believe under President Obama. And in fact, I saw the other day on CNN, the day that CNN re-aired Anderson Cooper's 60 Minutes interview with Stormy Daniels, CNN sat down with a bunch of Trump voting women. I don't remember where it was. I think it was somewhere in the South. And it was just total cognitive dissonance, right? Some of them saying this was a long time ago, others saying we simply don't believe it, others saying Trump's personal life all of a sudden just isn't a concern for us because his legislative positions are Christian and close to God. So if you're waiting around, as I know there are some people waiting around, they email me, they say, David, as soon as X happens, then the Trumpists will fully abandon Trump. No, they won't. The Trumpists are ideologically and fully committed to Donald Trump. And the extent to which cognitive dissonance is going to keep them there goes well beyond another dozen accusers of sexual assault against Donald Trump, or even more connections here with Russia. So we've got to just forget about them, and we've got to do whatever we can to make sure that justice is carried out here, because they're not going to come over to the side of logic and reason. The video you just finished watching was made possible by you through the membership program. You can sign up for membership at davidpakman.com/membership. We are viewer-supported independent media. You can use the coupon code IVoted17 for a 40% discount off of your membership.